Good afternoon, everyone, and hello from the American Center in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. My name is Monica, and I'm the Cultural Affairs Officer here. Thank you to everyone for joining our virtual program today, Get to Know 5G, Fifth Generation Wireless Technology. This is a very special virtual program event as we are live streaming today with 5 American spaces across the ASEAN region. So a big hello to our friends at the American Center Hanoi in Vietnam, the American spaces in the Philippines, and our 2 American centers in Myanmar, the American Center Yangon and the Jefferson Center in Mandalay. Greetings and thank you for joining us. The American Center here in Ho Chi Minh City, as well as our American centers across the region, provide useful information and resources to help you all with English language learning, American culture, as well as professional development programs. All of our activities and programs are free and available to everyone. Please do continue to follow our Facebook pages to learn about our upcoming virtual events. And please share this information with your friends. I'm very pleased to introduce our speaker today, our Information Management Specialist, Andrew Herman, here at the U.S. Consulate in Ho Chi Minh City, who is going to talk about 5G and everything that you need to know and how best to prepare for it. Andy will also join us tomorrow for our next cybersecurity event about how to protect yourself when accessing public Wi-Fi. So please tune in again tomorrow to that live Facebook event as well. And now it's my pleasure to introduce and welcome Andy. Thanks, Andy.
Thanks, Monica. Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Andy Herman. I'm an IT manager here in Ho Chi Minh City. I have a master's degree in computer science from the University of North Carolina, and I've been working in IT for about 20 years now. I'm really excited today because I get to talk about 5G, which is a topic that I'm very interested in, and I'm happy to share it with all of you. So 5G will increase network speeds, enable the Internet of Things by bringing billions of more devices online and advance new technologies such as artificial intelligence. 5G technology will digitize new sectors of the economy and have a transformational effect across industries and nations. So it's going to be a big change that's going to happen. Let me share my screen with you. So 5G is the next evolution in all of computing. So you have big data, you have big computing with AI, and now we're going to have big bandwidth with 5G. All right, so what is 5G? So first there was edge networks, and then there was 2G, and 3G was when it really got into everybody's vocabulary. Everybody knew what 3G was with the 3G iPhone. So you had some texting, you could watch videos, you could, let's see, I'm sorry, just a moment. All right, so you could share videos, you could share pictures with 3G, and then the next one was 4G. So 4G was even more texting, more video. You could watch movies over the cellular data. And next is going to be 5G, which is going to be an even bigger change in how we interact with cellular data. So we have a short quiz here. I want to start. I'm just going to do one question here for everybody. So you can join us at kahoot.it. And the game pin is 1565. So everybody that's joining us, please go ahead and log into that. And as soon as we get some players, we can start with some of those questions and see, test your knowledge of 5G technology. Okay, so what's driving 5G technology? Why are companies developing it? So here's some of the things that are driving the change. So one thing is availability. So they want the networks to be up as much as possible. Another thing is coverage. So more space, covering more space, more reaching, far reaching. You want to reach more people with the signals, so more coverage, more utilization. So more of the capacity of the network is being used. Less battery drainage. So you can enjoy high speeds, but you don't have to worry about it draining your computer or your telephone as much. More devices. So with the Internet of Things, more things coming online, like TVs and appliances. Want to be able to have those things join without hurting the connectivity of other devices on a network. And faster. So we wanted faster delivery to devices. So you can break these things down into 3 areas. So basically faster, bigger, more. So it's going to be a faster network, more devices, and then more throughput, more data can travel on these networks. All right, let's see how many people we have in our. All right. I'm gonna give you guys a few more minutes to see if we can get a few more players in there. We've got a lot of people. Let's see if we can get a few more people there. Okay. All right, so how fast is 5G? It can be up to 1,000 times faster than 4G networks. So if you look at the example I have on the screen here, you can see an 800 megabyte movie. So that's kind of like a standard format movie, standard definition. With edge network, that could take, at the peak, at the fastest edge network could work 7 hours. I have 7 hours to download that movie. With 3G, at the peak speeds, it would download in 4 hours. And then now with 4G, at the peak speeds, it takes about 41 seconds. And then with the next generation, 5G, it'll take only 1 second. So it's gonna be a big jump. You can see it out at the bottom, 5G and then 4G, you can see it's just a huge jump in speed. All right, let's get back into, let's start our quiz. I think it's time to start now. All right. What does 5G stand for? Here are your 5 options here. All right, get your answers in. 3, 2, 1. All right. Yes, all right. Some people are paying attention. That's right, 5th generation wireless is what it stands for. Okay. Let's go back into the presentation. All right, so one thing with 5G, you know what? I think I'm gonna I've got a video here, it's a short video, and it can explain this a lot better than I can. So this is just, it's just 3 minutes long, and it has a really good explanation about 5G. So I'm going to share this with all of you.
The truth is, experts can't tell us what 5G actually is because they don't even know yet. But right now, there are 5 brand new technologies emerging as the foundation of 5G: millimeter waves, small cells, massive MIMO, beamforming, and full duplex. First up, technology number 1, millimeter waves. Your smartphone and other electronic devices in your home use very specific frequencies on the radio frequency spectrum, typically those under 6 gigahertz. But these frequencies are starting to get more crowded. Carriers can only squeeze so many bits of data on the same amount of radio frequency spectrum. As more devices come online, we're going to start to see slower service and more dropped connections. The solution is to open up some new real estate. So researchers are experimenting with broadcasting on shorter millimeter waves, those that fall between 30 and 300 gigahertz. This section of spectrum has never been used before for mobile devices, and opening it up means more bandwidth for everyone. But there is a catch. Millimeter waves can't travel well through buildings or other obstacles, and they tend to be absorbed by plants and rain. To get around this problem, we'll need technology number 2, small cell networks. Today's wireless networks rely on large, high-powered cell towers to broadcast their signals over long distances. But remember, higher frequency millimeter waves have a harder time traveling through obstacles, which means if you move behind one, you lose your signal. Small cell networks would solve that problem, using thousands of low-power mini base stations. These base stations would be much closer together than traditional towers, forming a sort of relay team to transmit signals around obstacles. This would be especially useful in cities. As the user moved behind an obstacle, his smartphone would automatically switch to a new base station in better range of his device, allowing him to keep his connection. Next up, technology number 3, massive MIMO. MIMO stands for multiple input, multiple output. Today's 4G base stations have about a dozen ports for antennas that handle all cellular traffic, but massive MIMO base stations can support about 100 ports. This could increase the capacity of today's networks by a factor of 22 or more. Of course, massive MIMO comes with its own complications. Today's cellular antennas broadcast information in every direction at once, and all of those crossing signals could cause serious interference. Which brings us to technology number 4, beamforming. Beamforming is like a traffic signaling system for cellular signals. Instead of broadcasting in every direction, it would allow a base station to send a focused stream of data to a specific user. This precision prevents interference and it's way more efficient. That means stations can handle more incoming and outgoing data streams at once. Here's how it works. Say you're in a cluster of buildings and you're trying to make a phone call. Your signal is ricocheting off of surrounding buildings and crisscrossing with other signals from users in the area. A massive MIMO base station receives all of these signals and keeps track of the timing and the direction of their arrival. It then uses signal processing algorithms to triangulate exactly where each signal is coming from and plots the best transmission route back through the air to each phone. Sometimes it'll even bounce individual packets of data in different directions, off of buildings or other objects to keep signals from interfering with each other. The result is a coherent data stream sent only to you. Which brings us to technology number 5, full duplex. If you've ever used a walkie-talkie, you know that in order to communicate, you have to take turns talking and listening. That's kind of a drag. Today's cellular base stations have that exact same holdup. A basic antenna can only do one job at a time, either transmit or receive. This is because of a principle called reciprocity, which is the tendency for radio waves to travel both forward and backward along the same frequency. To understand this, it helps to think of a wave like a train loaded up with data. The frequency it's traveling on is like the train track. And if there's a second train trying to go in the opposite direction on the same track, you're going to get some interference. Up until now, the solution has been to have the trains take turns or to put all the trains on different tracks or frequencies. But you can make things a lot more efficient by working around reciprocity. Researchers have used silicon transistors to create high-speed switches that halt the backward roll of these waves. It's kind of like a signaling system that can momentarily reroute two trains so that they can get past each other. That means there's a lot more getting done on each track a whole lot faster. We're still working out many of the kinks with millimeter waves, small cell networks, massive MIMO, beamforming, and full duplex. In fact, all of 5G is still a work in progress.
Okay.
It will likely include other new technologies too. And making all of these
That's not
systems
completely
work
accurate.
together will be a whole
So this video is a little old, but they've actually figured out most of these problems, and we're getting to the point where it's ready for prime time. They're going to start releasing this. Actually, some countries have started releasing 5G. But I wanted to highlight one of the problems in the video that spoke about, which was the millimeter wave. And so the way that cellular data waves work now is I can receive cellular data right now in my office, but these millimeter waves are not strong enough to go through glass or building walls. So we have to have what we call a heterogeneous network. Let's take a look at that. So you can see here, there's all different kinds of networks. So you have networks for within the city, networks for in more rural areas, out in the country, and networks for within the building. So maybe these cellular data will travel to the building, and the building will have an antenna on it and rebroadcast that signal within the building. So there's different ways we can deal with this, but we haven't actually figured out how we're going to enjoy these speeds and throughput on a wide area. All right, so what can 5G do that 4G can't? So I already mentioned video, so we can get faster video and smoother, better graphics. There's also more things coming online. So your refrigerator can be connected, or your TV. And then also vehicles and a whole city can be connected with 5G. Let's look at some more examples. So we talked about a few times the Internet of Things. So there's all kinds of things that come online. We used to just have phones and computers, but now many things are being connected to the internet. Robots, toasters, refrigerators, cars. So many more things are coming online. So you can have a smart home. So you get things in your home that talk to each other. So your refrigerator could communicate with your TV, or your washing machine could communicate with your toaster for some reason. So there's ways that your home can do things smarter and save money for using less electricity. All right, before we go there, let's go back to our quiz. All right, let's go on to our next question. All right. So looks like we have Susan in the lead. Okay, next question. To accommodate faster data transmission speed, 5G has greater bandwidth. What other term is synonymous with bandwidth? What's another word for bandwidth? Is it capacity? Is it connection? Is it speed? Is it strength? All right. And, oh, sorry. All right, the correct answer is speed. All right. All right, great. We have a change in the lead here. Let's go back to the presentation. Our virtual reality. So we talked about having faster, better graphics with video. What can you do with virtual reality? So you can imagine there's a soccer game with a drone camera that's right in the action. And that drone would be sending high definition video throughout the network. And you could see it in your living room with virtual reality and feel like you're inside on the field in the game. And get really close up to the action. Another way you could use virtual reality is getting help repairing a car from somebody that's thousands of miles away. They could get such high quality video that they feel like they're actually there looking at the same thing you are in real life. And with virtual reality, you can have training scenarios where you manipulate and move things in this virtual reality, and it moves, and maybe there's a robot on the other end that actually moves it the way that you want it to. So self-driving cars is a big area of research right now. There's almost every car company is doing research into self-driving vehicles. There's different levels of self-driving vehicles. There's level 0, there's nothing, that's just a car. Level 1, maybe there's automatic braking or automatic accelerating. Level 2, so maybe the car can automatically brake and turn. So it's 2 features. Level 3, the car can kind of drive by itself, but you still need to have some interaction with the car. And level 4, the car is completely driverless. You don't need any interaction from the person. And level 5, the cars can operate entirely on their own without anybody in the car. So nobody's in the car, they're completely autonomous. Right now, a lot of companies are at level 3. So we're not quite there yet with level 4. So with autonomous vehicles, you could also have smart cities. So you could have cars communicate with each other to help reduce traffic jams and reduce traffic. So cars move at a more steady pace and a more efficient manner. You could have route traffic for emergencies. If an ambulance or an emergency vehicle needs to get through traffic, you can have the city automatically route the emergency vehicle where it needs to go as fast as possible. There are cities that have automatic systems for controlling flooding. So if there's a lot of rain, they can automatically divert the water in an efficient way to help drain the water as fast as possible. And there's ways you can people can communicate with the city through their phones. So if a person sees a broken traffic light, they can report that, and in real time, the city can adjust to account for something that's broken. All right, let's get back to our quiz. All right, let's go to the next question. Oops, sorry about that. All right. 5G will offer latency of 1 millisecond or lower. What does latency refer to? "5G will offer latency of 1 millisecond or lower." What is latency? And that's right, the delay between an input and desired outcome. So from the time you press a button and something happens, that's the latency. All right, so what are some industries that 5G will affect? So now some industries we have big data, we have artificial intelligence, And now with this big bandwidth, with more connectivity and faster connectivity, what are some industries that will change? So you can imagine in agriculture, you could have autonomous tractors and autonomous vehicles that work on the farm. You can have sensors throughout the field to check things like sunlight or temperature or water. And you can adjust for that. Maybe you have a drone that goes out automatically and gives water to parts of the field that don't get as much water as they need. And you could have sensors that tell you when the crops are ready to be harvested. And then a vehicle will go out there and harvest the crops that are ready. Maybe some parts of the field are ready for harvest, but others aren't. So a vehicle could go out there and harvest the plants that are ready and leave the plants that need to grow some more. Healthcare. So right now we already have some sensors. You see things that check your heart rate, your blood pressure, your temperature. And these things can send data back to the hospital or your healthcare provider. They can monitor and see how your condition is. So if you have a problem or have surgery, you can do surgery and then go home and wear these monitors, and you can stay at home and recover. You don't have to stay in a hospital. And your doctor can monitor how you are recovering. Another thing you can do with 5G is robotic surgery. So imagine you have a robot that's thousands of miles away from the doctor, and the doctor can perform the surgery in real time with this robot. Because it's so fast, 5G is so fast, the robot will respond as the doctor does in real time. Okay, so security is a big concern with 5G. Cybersecurity is a big concern for a lot of computing nowadays. As you can see down here, there's a survey that was recently sent out to industry experts that work in IT. And you can see here, 94% of people are concerned about security with 5G. So what are the things that people concern? So one thing we talked about with 5G is there are going to be more antennas, and you have more antennas throughout the city because these signals are weaker and they need more help moving around. Now that means a lot of switching between these antennas. And every time you switch between an antenna, there's a possibility that somebody could intercept signal, or they could inject themselves into that person's connectivity. So there are different ways that different companies are handling this problem to make sure that when there's a handoff, when you go from one antenna to another antenna, that handoff is safe and your connection is secure. Another problem is there's going to be more devices online. So you have refrigerators, you have drones, you have your TV, you have your game system, you have your car, you have more things that are coming online. Now, all these things need to be updated, they need to be patched, there needs to be security built into them. Not everything is really great at security. So maybe your phone is very secure, but maybe your washing machine is not secure. So that compromises your whole 5G network. So there's more concern with security with more things coming online and making sure security is included with bringing these things online. All right, let's go back to our quiz. All right, let's go to our next question. Oh, let's see who's winning here. All right, Wang Pan. is in the lead here. Our last question. Why has 5G caused tension between the United States and China? It's been in the news a lot recently. What is the concern with 5G technology in the United States and China? Oh. So it was the first one in red here. US officials accuse China of stealing 5G technology from America. All right, third place, QL. Second place, Susan. And our champion, Huanghua, congratulations. All right. Good job, everybody. Everybody's a winner in my book. So that last one, so there's some concerns with, there's some friction recently with China and America and 5G technology. So there's some concerns about protecting 5G technology, but not only that, but what can you use these 5G technology for? So if the network itself is not secure, then none of the devices connecting to that network are secure. So you could use the 5G network itself to monitor and spy on all the devices connected to that. So there's concern that China may be using this network to monitor the activity of everybody connected to that 5G, all their devices. So there's been some friction and some concern over how these 5G networks are being made and how they're being used. All right, so that's the end of my presentation. I'm going to hand it over to you, Monica. If you guys have any questions, I'd love to try to answer them the best I can.
Thanks so much, Andy, for that wonderful presentation. We have a lot of questions from across the region. So I'm going to start with Annalisa Galora from the Philippines, who asks, how is 5G technology beneficial during this time of global pandemic?
Oh, wow, that's a great question. So one of the things that doctors stress with the COVID pandemic is social distancing, staying at home, limiting our interactions, our physical interactions with other people. So one thing that 5G facilitates is us being able to interact while we stay at home. So working from home is one thing that we can do. Another thing we can do is order. So you can order just about anything through 5G and have it arrive at your home. We looked at the robotic remote the surgery robot. That's not being used right now, but sometime in the future, maybe that could help us, doctors help treat patients without exposing themselves to the COVID virus.
Okay, our next question is from Hat Y Hilan U in Yangon, who asks a question, can 5G technology be dangerous for the brain?
Yeah, so there's a lot of people that have concerns about these cellular data waves, and you know, some people say they cause cancer or they kill honeybees or things like this. But actually, they're harmless. They're radio waves, and they're very, very small, and they're very weak. And in fact, a lot of these waves occur naturally in nature. So we're using 5G uses very safe technology, and it doesn't cause any problems to your body.
Okay, Okay, our next question is from Do Tae Jung in Vietnam, who asks, I want to get some documents about 5G by email. Could you please send them to me? So I think I can answer that question. Share America has some articles that we can link to this presentation as well as send by email, and we can also share the link to some of the videos that Andy shared in his presentation. So we'll be happy to share those with the viewers watching. I don't know, Andy, if you have anything else you want to add to that or any recommendations.
Yeah, sure. I'm happy to include some links on good current documents on 5G.
Great, thank you. So we have another question from Mandalay in Myanmar, from Han Heat, who asks, will there be a relationship between 5G and Wi-Fi? Could you explain that, please?
I think there has to be, because the waves for 5G can't grow through things like glass or trees or walls. So within the building, you can't really have 5G in the building. So I think there's probably going to be some sort of antenna on buildings, and that antenna would probably connect to Wi-Fi on the inside. So maybe you have Wi-Fi on the inside of the building, and then that converts to 5G that goes throughout to the cellular towers. So I think there's going to be some way to provide connectivity within buildings.
Okay, our next question is from Antti in Hanoi, who says, as advertised, 5G wireless technology is meant to deliver higher multi-gigaspeed per second peak data speeds, ultra low latency, more reliability, massive network capacity, increased availability, and a more uniform user experience to more users. Otherwise, I don't really know. So could you comment on that, Andy?
Yes. So there are a few countries that are rolling out 5G right now, and they don't have the speeds that 5G can provide just yet. So it is faster than 4G, but it's not the top speeds that 5G is available for. And that's because of the weak signals that 5G uses. And as the technology becomes more mature and manufacturers create better devices that provide for 5G, the faster 5G will get and the better the service will become.
Okay, we have another question from Vietnam, from Tin Ngoc Pham in Ho Chi Minh City, who asks, do you have any idea when SpaceX's Starlink project will cover Vietnam?
That I would love if Starlink covered Vietnam. I'm in Ho Chi Minh City now, and that would be really fantastic to enjoy that. I think it's a few years away. They're putting the satellites in space now, and they're testing out the network. But as far as worldwide coverage, SpaceX is not there yet.
Okay, we have another question from Mandalay, from Quang Min, who asks, how will 5G affect our online security? Could you speak a little bit more to that, Andy, please?
Sure. So everything that you do with your phone, you'll have to continue doing with 5G, making sure you have a strong password, or use your thumb or your face to secure your device. Also, the websites you go to, you have to make sure that you go to trusted websites, HTTPS websites. The things that will be new to 5G that we don't have now is the amount of antennas that you switch between. So, but that'll be handled by the mobile data provider. So it's their job to make sure that no matter which antenna you're connected to, that connection is safe. From the user's perspective, the devices that you put online, you need to be mindful of what you're connecting to the 5G. So if you buy like a rice cooker that has 5G connectivity, make sure the security for that rice cooker is good. So maybe you have a rice cooker that sends you a notification when the rice is done cooking. But maybe the security on it is not very good. Somebody could hack your rice cooker and then spy on your network, your 5G network. So you have to be careful about the things that you connect and the security of those things, the Internet of Things.
Okay, thank you. So a few more questions from Mandalay. Kin Yandar Teen asks, I keep hearing that 5G will require millions of small cells. What is that? What does that mean?
So a cell is basically the coverage area for an antenna. So if you have an antenna, the distance that the signals can travel from the antenna is called the cell. With 4G, those signals can go pretty far, and those signals can go through walls, those signals can go through glass, and go through trees. So it goes pretty far. With 5G, you have millimeter radio waves, which are much weaker signals. So you have much smaller cells, which means you have to have more antennas to get the same coverage that you have with 4G. So, so the video I played earlier showed that one antenna can maybe cover 2 kilometers, but with 5G, the antenna maybe only covers half a kilometer. So you need more antennas, more cells to get the same coverage.
Okay, we have a question from Judaline Taghoy in Manila, who asks, what about 5G and tourism? Is there any relationship you can think of there?
That's a great question. I hadn't thought about that, but absolutely. So maybe you have an ecotourism business and you're in the middle of the jungle. There's probably not good internet in the middle of the jungle, but with 5G, that can go into, you can put a 5G antenna anywhere. They're small, they don't need a lot of power. So you can put a 5G antenna there and your guests could get on the internet in the middle of the jungle. So I think, yeah, there's definitely possibilities that you could use 5G within tourism.
Okay, another question from Mandalay from Wintander Mo, who asks, what impact will 5G have on backhaul networks?
Oh yeah, there's going to be a huge change. So, so the backhaul networks, there's going to be more devices that are connected. So as we saw in the video, one antenna may have 12 nodes to connect with, whereas with 5G, there's going to be 100 nodes. And so there's literally thousands of devices that are connected to that antenna. So there's going to be a need to upgrade the backhaul network as well. And that's probably going to be done with fiber optic cables that can handle the greater need, the greater bandwidth.
All right, we have a follow-up question about safety from Min in Hanoi. Could you speak a little bit more about what the risks and threats of 5G are?
So I'll just speak from a user standpoint. There's different risks. There's going to be different challenges that the mobile carriers will take care of that the user doesn't need to worry about. From a personal perspective, with your phone, with your computer, you can put antivirus on there. You can make sure you go to safe sites. You can kind of manage the cybersecurity. But with Internet of Things, it's difficult to manage the cybersecurity of that. Like for example, there's maybe your air conditioner, you have some sort of air conditioner that automatically adjusts based on the temperature outside or the weather that's going to come. So that air conditioner may not have the most up-to-date operating system. It may have vulnerabilities. So as a user, you have to kind of be aware of that. So there may be a patch that you have to install on your air conditioner. You may have to go to some website and put the, patch your air conditioner, or maybe there's something that can't be patched and you have to buy a new one. So you have to be careful about what you're putting online, what you're connecting to 5G, and the cybersecurity associated with that.
Okay, thanks for that advice. We have a question from Ho Chi Minh City from Pivani, who asks, having a trusted partner is important. And so how can America help ASEAN countries to roll out 5G technology? Is the United States planning to help with this? Thanks.
Yeah, so I think the United States is making ASEAN countries aware of dangers of using some carriers. Like, for example, Huawei, there's some concerns with Huawei that the United States have, and we share those concerns with our partners. And we are, in the United States, we're looking at good producers, good makers of 5G technology that we trust, and we promote those to other countries. So we advise, we suggest other countries, hey, this is a safe, a trusted producer of 5G technology. So the United States is being very active right now in promoting safe technology to our partners.
Okay, thanks, Andy. We have a question from Ven Lenti in Yangon, who is asking, between the United States and China, who is more advanced in 5G technology?
I think 5G is more common in China right now. But these 5G speeds are not the maximum possible speeds. So I think America in the next year will release a faster version of 5G. And hopefully that will be available around the world in the next year.
Okay, we have a comment and a question from Ho Chi Minh City, who says, thank you for this amazing program. Can you tell me about ways in which 5G technology can boost a country's economy? Thank you.
Sure. So, it's expensive to build a fast internet infrastructure. So running cables is expensive, and building the switches and the hubs is expensive. It's much cheaper to build these towers. So with 4G, you had these big, expensive towers that used a lot of electricity to broadcast a strong signal. Now with 5G, you have much cheaper towers that use less electricity. So you can provide internet at a cheaper price, a faster internet at a cheaper price to more people. Now, what can you do? You have more people online. So you could have your business. It's a lot cheaper to, you could just put up a Facebook page with your business. Let's say you sell hats, and now with your phone, you can connect to this 5G and find your customers. Your customers can find you, and you can deliver these hats to your customers at a very cheap price. Now, if we look about 15 years ago, you had to have a wired internet. You had to have a website. You had to have a way to collect payment. and it was expensive to do all that. You can do the same thing nowadays with a 5G network, much, much cheaper. So the barriers to get into a business are much lower with 5G than they would be with 4G or a wired internet. So I think getting people more connectivity, giving people the internet at a cheaper price is good for a developing country.
All right, thank you. We have another question from Ho Chi Minh City from Bui Swan Tan, who says, do you think the story of Huawei will replicate in the future with other tech companies in other countries that want to invest in the US market? And is it necessary to have an international cybersecurity law to balance between national interests and security demand?
That is a great question. I think, we're in the digital age, so more things are moving online. More people are connected. More people are putting their information in cyberspace. So we have to be careful what we share. I think we have laws in America about protecting privacy and people's information. The European Union has a lot of great laws about protecting privacy and information. So I think there has to be a trust between people. It's international, maybe there could be some sort of international treaty in the future where all the countries agree to treat personal information carefully and securely. Now with artificial intelligence, there's a lot of groundbreaking things happening with that. And we have to be careful how we use artificial intelligence and we don't abuse it and we use it for the good of all people. So I think that's a good point that we need to have this trust, and we need to, as a global community, we need to have a way that we come to agreement about using technology in ways that benefits everybody.
Okay, a question from Shui Win Aung in Mandalay, who asks, how will 5G change the wireline architecture that currently supports the 4G mobile backhaul?
So the problem with 5G is countries invested a lot into 4G, and you need a new infrastructure for 5G. So now there's some products that are some companies developing to kind of bridge 5G and 4G. So what we may see in the next 5 years is a rollout of this kind of temporary technology to allow countries to deploy more widely this 5G technology. So I see a lot of the 4G technology being reused temporarily to give time for the 5G rollout.
Okay, we have a question from Ben Johnson in Hanoi, who asks, why haven't US companies yet developed into major 5G providers yet?
I kind of touched on this with my last answer, but I think companies invested a lot of money into 4G technology. These antennas are expensive. They cost a lot to construct and to put up. And to kind of abandon that infrastructure is costly. So I think companies want to get the most out of their investment into 4G before making the leap into 5G.
Okay, great. We have a question from Keith Tran in Vietnam. Are there any possible applications of 5G in the aviation industry?
Drones are a big area of development right now, and I could see, maybe cargo could be connected via 5G. You could have drones delivering in short trips, maybe 20, 30 kilometers. Drones could do deliveries. As far as other aviation, there could be a day where there's autonomous airplanes that, with cargo that take off and land completely on their own. And I'm not sure if 5G is, that may be a 6G or 7G technology that powers those, but I could see that happening in our lifetime.
Okay. We have a question from Nguyen in Ho Chi Minh City who says, cybersecurity is important in 5G. Are you familiar with any universities or schools in the United States that teach about cybersecurity? Could you please share with us any recommendations for receiving cybersecurity certifications?
Sure. Any university that has an IT or computer science program will also include cybersecurity. I went to the University of North Carolina, and I kind of think that they have a great cybersecurity program. I think the University of North Carolina has one of the best computer science programs in the nation. I'm biased on that, obviously. Certifications are great. Certifications gives you proof that you're knowledgeable and you have knowledge and know-how in a specific area. There's a lot of free courses online for cybersecurity. There's Udemy, there's Khan Academy, just to name a few. There's a lot of really great resources. YouTube has a lot of great videos too for cybersecurity and ones that touch on specific topics within cybersecurity. And you can, a lot of tools for cybersecurity are free. You can download them and install them on your computer. They don't cost a penny. So getting the hands-on experience is not tough, but it is complicated. You need a lot of knowledge of networks. You need a lot of knowledge of operating systems. So it takes a lot of practice, but it's a great industry to get into. Lots of people hiring, and it's only going to get more important as we go forward. Okay.
So another question from Ho Chi Minh City from Ha Din. What do you think about 5G on PCs, on personal computers? Is it going to succeed? The speed of 4G is already faster than internet speed on most computers, but very few laptops or PCs have 4G technology.
Yeah, recently we went to remote working in the consulate here in Ho Chi Minh City. And a lot of people don't own laptops anymore. A lot of people prefer using their phone or a tablet. So I thought it was really interesting that a lot of people asked to borrow laptops because they didn't own one. A lot of people don't have the need for one at home. So I think, I thought it was really interesting. Now, I think with 5G, it's going to be faster than what you could get, or same or faster than what you can get through a wired connection in your house or through Wi-Fi. So I think it depends on how successful 5G is. And, I mentioned it's hard to get that signal inside a building. So a laptop might be great out in the park or outside, but how do you get that signal inside your house? What bridges that connection from the 5G tower to the internet in your home? If it's Wi-Fi in your home, then you don't need the 5G antenna. You don't need that connection. So I think it depends on how 5G is rolled out in the next few years.
Okay, a question from Mandalay from Shuiwen Ao. Will fiber deployments change when 5G is deployed?
Yeah, I think they have to. I think you're going to have more devices that need more data. So you're going to need the back-end infrastructure to support all that. So you're going to have more fiber infrastructure to support all of those devices.
Okay, and then we have a follow-up question from Judeline Taghoy in Manila, who asks, does this mean that that if we get 5G that we'll have to upgrade our phones if we're using Androids, for example? Do we have to look for a 5G phone provider?
Yeah, so 5G uses a different frequency. So your mobile phone, your smartphone has antennas in it. And so because 5G uses a different frequency, you're going to need a new 5G capable phone to take advantage of that. And also carriers may advertise 5G, but it may not actually be 5G speeds. So be careful, do a little research to make sure when you sign up for a 5G plan with your mobile provider, it's actually 5G speeds.
Okay, and it's time for our last question, Andy. It's a question from Rose Bea Lapour in Manila, who asks another health-related question about 5G, asking, since 5G will boost connectivity, will this mean that there will be higher health risk involved due to greater radio frequency emitted by 5G stations as well as the signal base?
I don't think so. So these the signals are actually weaker than what you have with 4G. So I think, you know, if there are health concerns, I think there would be even less with 5G. These are all great questions, though. You guys have some really great questions. This has been fun.
Well, thank you so much, Andy, for taking the time to share with us all these insights on 5G technology and for answering all of the questions from around the ASEAN region, some of them really interesting and difficult, but we look forward to welcoming you back here again tomorrow at 2:00 p.m. Vietnam time to talk to us more about cybersecurity and how you can protect yourself when accessing public Wi-Fi. So thank you again for joining us. Thank you for everyone in the region and in Vietnam for joining us. And we look forward to seeing you again back here tomorrow.
Thanks, it's been great.